What is going on, guys, and welcome back to another video on the Hooked on SuperCoach channel. In today's video we'll be discussing EPL SuperCoach, the Gameweek 20 score, Gameweek 21 trade targets, and what I'm looking to do moving forward sitting inside the top 200. But without further ado, let's get stuck into today's video. Now, before we get started, I'd just like to shout us out. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. It really helps the algorithm, keeps growing the channel before the NRL season kicks off. So, that is that. So, Game Week 20, how'd we do? So, we scored 94 points, which was an alright score. I thought it was alright, yeah. And we saw a green arrow, so from 178 to 168. So, we're now sitting in 168th overall. However, I did end up using a trade and we are down to 14 trades. So, let's have a look at the week that was. So, look at that. We won 4 out of the 5 matchups. So, it must have been a pretty good week. I will take that. So, starting us off in net, Raya, another 1-pointer. Look, disappointed and annoyed, yes, but he's so highly owned in the top 1% and even in EPL SuperCoach. So, look, I think you ride it out with him. I know Arsenal got 2 hard fixtures now, or is it just one more left? Liverpool, and then Liverpool, and then it opens up again for them. Forest, United, Leeds, Sunderland, Brentford. So yeah, hold through. Looked disappointing recently, but it's a goalkeeping position. What more really can you do? Moving on to defenders, and you can see we got Gabriel. So, with the news last week that Saka was benched, Ekitike was benched, Bruno's still obviously not out, I ended up moving Cucurella to Gabriel, and thank God I did. So, Gabriel obviously got 19 points, should have had an assist for the goal there for Bournemouth, but got his goal, got his defensive points there and finished on 19 points. So the best defenders in EPL SuperCoach in my mind, no doubt, it's Gabriel, Timber and Munoz. Like, those three are so far clear, it's not even funny. But Gabriel and Timber, 19 and 8 points respectively, happy enough there. Dorgu, 3 points. What a troll he's been. Look, he's got one more chance this week against Burnley, and if he doesn't do anything, he's out. I'm pretty sure I'm going to sell him next week no matter what. However, we'll give him the one last good fixture matchup and we can go from there. Gvardiol, 3 points. He came off injured in the 51st, and I believe it might be serious. Pep came out after the game and said it didn't look too good, so obviously, I'm discussing it the morning after, so we've got a day and a half till the next lockout. However, Gvardiol might be one we need to move on, depending on the news there, which is unfortunate. But, yes. And then we got Virgil, who we benched 1 point. I'm just glad I don't have to play Virgil and get frustrated with Liverpool anymore, despite wearing the Liverpool jersey. And, speaking of Liverpool, how about that finish last night? I was watching that game. Harry Wilson scored early on, offside. It was called offside, but it was actually onside. Goal was given. Then Liverpool scored after that to make it close. And then in the finishing stages there, Liverpool end up scoring an absolute, well, not an absolute banger, but Gakpo ended up scoring there. And then in the last minutes of the game, the Fulham, some ginger bloke, ends up putting it in right top. So what an absolute banger from him there. Moving now on into midfield, I ended up captaining Foden, which didn't go too well. He got 5 points, so the same as Haaland there, so no real complaints, but the star of the game week by far and away is definitely Declan Rice. So Decky Rice got 27 points, 2 goals, and he's just him. After missing last week and all the talk being that he was going to be rested or wasn't going to play again this week, he ended up scoring 27 points again. So it's just by far and away, like, him and Bruno are the midfield options to get, like, to have. Like, their base stats, not only that, but they also have the attacking threat and prowess. And yeah, look, for him to score 27 points, couldn't be more happy there. Just wish I vice-captained him. Moving on to my vice-captain, Jared Bowen, 3 points. Look, West Ham looked horrible in this game. Wolves got their first win of the year. well, winner 2026 as well, but first win of the season, in the Prem against West Ham. So that kind of sums up just how bad West Ham played. Paqueta was obviously out, which might have impacted the team a little bit, but yeah, look, they were shocking. They played abysmal, and look, I'm happy to have Jared Bowen because he's the best player from West Ham or for West Ham. However, it's just not looking good, bruv, is it? It's not looking good for him, but we'll see how it goes. Cole Palmer, 4 points. I'm happy with his performance here. He played 90 minutes, so they do play again on Thursday, so not a very long turnaround at all. I'm hoping he backs up, but we're not gonna know in time there. So look, I'm completely happy to have Palmer moving forward. I'm hoping he plays this week because I don't really want to play Van Dijk against Arsenal, but we'll see what happens there. Oh, and then in some more positive news as well for United, Bruno should be back for Burnley. He should play some minutes now. I don't know if he'll start. I don't know if he'll come on the bench and play the final 20, but Almiron came out after the game and said he should be good to play some minutes for the Burnley game. So Bruno owners will be happy with that news, and non-owners start looking towards making a plan to get him in the next couple of weeks there. To the forward line, Haaland 5 points, blanked. Look, him and Foden, no complaints. Actually, that is one score I will be interested to see. How did Cherky go this week? We'll go by average. Bruno Guimaraes killed it again. Harry Wilson just having a season. Cherky's got 3 points. So, look, again, I wouldn't load up on too many of them. City got a hard run-ish coming up soon. And then it eases off again. But who do they got in the next couple? Oh, yes and no. They got Brighton, then United, Wolves, Tottenham, Liverpool, Fulham, Newcastle. So not a bad fixture run coming up. So, again, happy with Haaland. Definitely wouldn't be selling, but he's getting cheap. And he's got a massive break even, so he might be under 10 million for one of the first times this year if he keeps it up. Talking about 10 million, what about Ekitike? So I think it was 2 weeks ago I traded Thiago out for Ekitike in both EPL SuperCoach and FPL. And what a disaster that has been. Ekitike didn't play last night. At least he wasn't in the squad whatsoever. So I obviously got the news that Saka was benched for the Arsenal game. So I ended up benching him and bringing in Gabriel. And with Ekitike being out, Saka obviously came on and got an assist. Ekitike being out, Saka actually came on for me there, and so I got his points. So happy with how that worked out. However, not happy with fucking Ekitike and Thiago. So, I don't know. With the forwards this year, especially in Supercoach, but in FPL as well, like, it's just so frustrating, and it just feels like every week I'm chasing points rather than getting the points. And like, I should have just stuck true with Thiago. When I brought him in, my plan was to just hold him for the rest of the season. Would have done me well, however I didn't, and now I've got an Ekitike 0-pointer and a Thiago. How many points did he end up scoring? 34 points. So swings and roundabout. Talk about swings. If I had him in the side, we would have had a massive green arrow this week, but wasn't to be. And we had Ekitike there, lucky for us. So that's kind of game week 20. All in all, still pretty happy with the side. Obviously saved with Declan Rice, Gabriel, Timber really doing the business there. Saka coming on. Really the Arsenal boys. And then pretty much everyone else blanking. But at least we had Rice and Gabriel and Timber and Saka. So that pretty much ensured I was on for a green arrow. And then if I just got my captain or vice captain right, I know a few vice captain Declan Rice. What a masterstroke that would have been, hey? 54 points for you there. Would have been even better if I brought in Thiago, if I didn't sell Thiago and captain him or vice captain him. But yeah, I was happy to go against Haaland there. Just trying to chase a bit of risk and upside. And trying to get back into the top 100 overall, but wasn't to be. But again, they both scored the same, so doesn't bother me too much there. So that is the game week sort of 20 review. Let's have a look at the game week 21 trades. Who are people bringing in and who are people selling? So we'll go from the top 10% as per usual, and we'll go the most sold. So number one, Dorgu. Wouldn't do that. Give him this week, Burnley, and then sell him next week. So I don't get the point in selling him this week. We brought him in for the fixtures. He's got a decent fixture left. I get United suck and they've looked horrible, but Bruno's also meant to be coming back as well. So that is a good thing there for United, hopefully. And so yeah, I'll hold him off one more week, and then you can sell Dorgu next week. Hugo Ekitike now. This is a tricky one. So I get everyone is moving to Thiago. However, I know Ekitike's got Liverpool this. He's got Arsenal this week. Sorry, but then they've got Burnley the week after. So I'm probably going to end up holding Ekitike. We'll bench him this week. We'll play him against Burnley. If he does nothing against Burnley, I'll be selling him. If he does something, I'll reconsider. But yeah, look, for now, I get the sell, but if you're running low on trades, you can't keep flicking between strikers and attackers, and so yeah, I'd look to hold off and bench him this week, play him against Burnley, and then reassess from there. So Dorgu and Ekitike both holds, sort of, in my opinion there. Number 3, Gvardiol. So this is going to be a sell, depending on the news from Pep. So as I said, came off injured in the game this morning after 51 minutes. It's annoying because I do think he's the best City defending asset for City. However, is now injured. So I'm going to try and hold off for some news there until it's confirmed. But yeah, look, Gvardiol, I think you can sell just with the injury cloud there. Calafiori, yeah, look, you can sell. He hasn't played for like 4 weeks in a row now. Move him on to either Timber or Gabriel. Number 5, Van Dijk. Now, look, I think you can sell him. However, who are you trading to would be my question. I think he's good enough to have and hold just for the season. Liverpool have, as I mentioned, Burnley next week, so I'll definitely be starting him next week. But for this week, especially against Arsenal, I would be definitely looking to bench. So yeah, would hold off, play him next week, and kind of reassess from there. Semenyo, you can move him on. I don't know what's happening with the City transfer, but yeah, move him on. Minte, what a fall from grace he's been. Move him on. Bruno Fernandes, undo that trade. Should get some minutes this week. Don't know how many minutes. He does have a big break even as well, so he should lose some cash if you don't have him. However, for us owners, this is exactly what we want. And if he ends up starting against Burnley, you will want him. So yeah, he might be in the most brought in if he ends up starting. But if he doesn't, he'll be in the most brought in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, definitely undo that trade. Cucurella, you can go ahead, trade him off. I traded him. He's not in the team. Not sure what's happening there, but you can move him on. And Szoboszlai. Look, who would you move to in midfield? If you're moving to like a Rice, I get it. But if you're not, just hold off this week, play him against Burnley next week, and you can just reassess from there. So yeah, for the most sold players this week, I get it's early on the season. The game week's just opened up again, but yeah, look, on those most traded out players, I wouldn't trade out maybe half of them, and then half of them I would. But yeah, just look to have a bit of patience and maybe reassess with some of those there. Now we'll go the most traded in, and no doubt number 1. Oh, it's not Thiago. Number 1 is Gabriel. Yeah, look, he's a must. Get him in your side. The sooner the better. He's the best defender in SuperCoach and in FPL. He's got the defensive contributions and base points. He also has the attacking threat off corners and set pieces. Absolute no-brainer. Bring him in. Number 2, Igor Thiago. Now, Thiago's got a mixed fixture coming up. He scored 3 goals from open play, and that was kind of the slack with him. He hasn't been able to score many goals from open play. He's been a bit of a penalty merchant. However, he kind of shut everyone up this week and put 3 past a good defence in Everton there. So yeah, look, I'm very, very conflicted. I'm going to hold off and give Ekitike a couple more weeks just to see how he goes, especially against Burnley. However, I'm super frustrated and get the trade in. What's his break even? His break even's -7, so he's going to make a bunch of cash. I'm not too worried about cash at this point in the season there, with 14 trades, but just so frustrating. Igor Thiago, it's proper FPL and SuperCoach troll. When I brought him in, did bugger all for me. Ekitike went off, ended up flipping the trade and traded Thiago to Ekitike. Since then, Ekitike's done nothing, hasn't played, and Thiago's gone bang. So, just proper pain with that transfer, but what can you do? Number 3 most brought it in, Declan Rice. Yep, like that trade, bring him in there. Don't know why you don't have him, but if you don't, yep, definitely bring him in. Unfortunate if you sold him recently, because that 27 pointer is a massive return. Number 4, Bruno Guimaraes. Now, I love him in FPL. I got him in FPL. I love him as a Newcastle fan as well. Just keeps showing up in the right spot at the right time to score these goals. So, can't knock the buy. I don't think he's the best buy, but definitely cannot knock the buy at all. And if you're after a midfielder and already got your Decky Rice, your Brunos, your whatnots, look, I think Bruno's a good option there. Yeah, so I like that trade in. Number 5, Tarkowski. Now, I'd probably hold off on this trade. I get they've got Wolves this week and they've got some decent fixtures coming up. However, they've just conceded 4-2 to Brentford there, so very disappointed for any new owners. I get he still gets the base stats. So how many did he score in their 4-2 loss? He scored 6 points. So still decent enough. He's a base stat beast. Almost had a goal. But yeah, look, I'd probably just hold off on that trade. And someone I'd be a bit more interested in is Malik Tor, however you say him. Look, he played really well. Got a goal, and I'd bring him in. Arsenal got some good fixtures coming up. In the next 5, they've got Leeds, Wolves, Villa, Liverpool and Brentford. So, decent set of fixtures coming up. If you're after a defender, I'd move to him. However, I wouldn't be doing a Dorgu to him. Again, I'll just hold off, give Dorgu the week and see how he goes. Number 7, Matty Cash. I'd definitely bring in Malik Tau ahead of Cash, but yeah, he's an option. Villa got some decent fixtures coming up. He's got a bit of attacking threat. However, Villa's defence isn't as sure. So, not as solid on that trade, but I get it if you want to go for a bit of a pot option and chase Villa's game weeks. Number 8, Enzo Fernandez. Scored a goal, last minute goal for Chelsea to draw City and put Arsenal 5 points, I think, clear on the table. Probably wouldn't bring him in as a midfield transfer. I like the other options. I specifically like Cole Palmer more than Enzo. However, can't knock it. He's been pretty consistent this year and somewhat on pens, so he's definitely an option. However, I just think there are probably better options ahead of him, like Declan Rice, Bruno Guimaraes, etc. Number 9, Bukayo Saka. Yeah, bring him in. You should have him already. And number 10, Timber. Bring him in. You should have him already. So that wraps up the 10 most brought and sold players for the week. Let's look at how I'm lining up for Gameweek 21. So, having a look at the fixtures there. When do Palace play? Palace play early on. So, if I want to loop, it has to be early. So, I'll start Whiteworth there. Raya, Gabriel, Timber, Dorgu. Now, the news with Gvardiol is going to be interesting. I might have to end up selling him. I'm going to hold him for now, but until I get the confirmed news how long he's out for, Tarkowski is actually the most points scored for defenders. There you go. I mean, he's played 6 more games than Gabriel and 6 more than Munoz, but in saying that, he's up there. So he's on the same pace as Timber, Matty Cash, Reece James sort of thing there. So if Gvardiol is out longer term, I will need to eye up an option. I will look at maybe a Chow, maybe a Gaway. I do like Gaway here. They've obviously hit the skids, but I think Palace's fixtures turn soon. I think is it after Villa, when Sunderland, Chelsea, Forest, Brighton, Brentford. Here you go. So you want him for this fix. So not just yet. I might end up having to move into Tarkowski. I get it's not exciting or anything, but Wolves, Leeds, Brighton, Fulham coming up, decent fixtures. I just don't get excited for him, so I don't know. I might end up trading Gvardiol out. However, it will have to be to a keeper, as I'm not looking to burn too many trades, and I'm trading Dorgu next week, so maybe a bit of trouble in defence. We'll go to a 3-back this week. We'll play 3-5-2 for now. We'll give it an optimise. Raya will obviously come on if Whiteworth doesn't. Oh, see, and we got no one a vice captain. It's going to have to be Bowen again. Or if we brought in Thiago. But Gabriel, Dorgu, Timber. Again, the game week's being thick and fast. There might also be a bit of rotation going on the side. So I might definitely have to figure out a plan there with Gvardiol. But I'll wait for more news. Sorry. Moving on to midfield, Bruno. When do United play? They play near the end. If they played earlier, I might have taken a risk and started. I just don't know if he's going to start or not. If he's starting, I'll play him. But if he's not starting, I'll bench him. But for now, we can assume he's starting, so we'll leave him in the squad. There's no point looping. We can give it to Jared Bowen. Oh, that would be ideal. Saka into Rice. Nah, we'll play it. Captain Haaland, vice captain Bruno. Then we got Cole Palmer. Not sure if he starts. Hopefully he does. Declan Rice. What a man. Philly Foden fighting for form, but should be on the up soon. Bruno Fernandes, if he's back, massive inclusion. If he's not, I'll either bring in Ekitike, Van Dijk, or Gvardiol's replacement. And then in the forward line, Haaland and Saka. I'm pretty keen to bench Ekitike this week against Liverpool. Could just move Ekitike onto Thiago, bring him in vice captain. That would make a bit of sense, especially for the loop. However, as I mentioned there, I kind of want to hold off and give Ekitike and Van Dijk that Burnley game next week. So I think that's how I might line up for the week, given if Bowen starts and if Gvardio's out. Subject to change. I might post my updated team on Twitter just before lockout there. But yeah, a day, 16 hours, so yeah, get your trades in. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Let me know any trade dilemmas or your trade thoughts down below in the comments. Don't forget to also join the Hooked On EPL SuperCoach League code 700950. We got a couple of the lads. We got number one. We got You're a Wizard Bruno, Big Huss with 134. Wow. And look at this. Oscar in second, well in 13th, but second in the league, got 151 points last week. So I know You're a Wizard Bruno, vice captain Declan Rice, because I was looking at his team. Very jealous. Lewis Hall, good return. Nathan Collins, what? Like, as if this bloke gets this lucky, right? Vice captain Decky Rice, Saka comes on, Declan Collins, Lewis Hall. What a week. He is in a good position to win Supercoach, that fella. Big Huss, You're a Wizard Bruno. Best of luck, mate. Hope you keep killing it. You're flying, mate. Well done. And then you actually got one upped by Oscar here. So who did he have? So he had Mac Thor, Gabriel, Timber, Raya, Gvardiol, like most, Foden, Declan Rice, Palmer, like most, Haaland, Saka, Thiago. So simply by having Thiago and Thor, he saw a massive green arrow. So he's now almost in the top 10. So well done. Just shows you it's all still not pretty close. Like, look at that bloke in first. Huss is on 25.18. Oscar's on 23.92, so 100 odd points off, and there's only 12 ranks between them. So Huss is in a very good spot there. And then compared to me, who's 168th, I'm almost just under 300 points off him. So starting to open up a lead. I'm still closing it in. I'm still having my green arrows. I'd love to finish in the top 100. That'd be a great finish for me there. But yeah, we will see how it goes. So yeah, that wraps up the Supercoach side of things. Let's quickly touch on the FPL before we move on there. So in FPL this week, how'd we go? We scored 152 points there and saw us in a green arrow into rank 243, 243,000 overall. So how'd we go? Pickford, horrible. Thiago obviously went nuts. Obviously have Ekitike here as well. I traded, as I mentioned, Thiago to Ekitike 2 weeks ago. Just been an absolute disaster. However, in defence, Timber, happy enough. Anderson, look for the price, can't complain. Gabriel, what a transfer. Sensei, his time's coming up. I think I might look to move him on soon. Now in the midfield, when things get good, Bruno Guimaraes, as I mentioned, how good, keeps scoring. Foden with the blank, Harry Wilson with a goal, and he hit the post as well. He almost had a double against Liverpool, so very happy with him for 5 point whatever million he is. I think he's 5.8 million now. Just keeps scoring, one of the highest scoring midfielders, getting in. Cunha finally returned, happy with him there, 9 points. As I said, I'll give him the game this week, then I'll sell. And Saka came on, got the assist, and Captain Haaland with the blank there. So yeah, all in all, pretty good week. What am I looking at doing for this week? Declan Rice is a point of talking. Considering doing Saka to Declan Rice, consider doing Timber to Tarkowski, and like a Wilson to Declan Rice. However, as I mentioned, they keep scoring. Also considered moving Ekitike to a Watkins or back to Thiago again. I'm not too sure. The consensus is just I'm so frustrated with Ekitike to Thiago. That trade has just been an absolute disaster. I'm just kicking myself that I did it. But what can you do? Anywho, lads, that wraps up this week's episode of the Hooked On SuperCoach BBL, and a bit of FPL in there as well. A Gameweek 20 review and Gameweek 21 trade targets there. So if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like. Can we get 4 likes? If you're still watching, can we get 4 likes? If we get 4 likes, I'll be a happy man. Give us the green arrows, and I'll see you all next week. Cheers, guys.